Everyone believes teachers in the 1930s were cold, strict, and blind to what was happening right in front of them. Look closer at her hands. She saw everything. Every single morning, one boy walked into that classroom and did something no one else noticed. He kept one hand under his desk, still, hidden, never once reaching for his notebook. The teacher never asked him to move it. She never said a word, not because she didn't see, because she understood exactly what he was protecting. His name doesn't survive in any record, but his seat does. Third row, second desk from the window, the coldest corner of the room in winter. That's where he sat every day for 2 years, through some of the hardest winters this country had ever seen. And every day, under that desk, wrapped inside a torn page of yesterday's newspaper, was the only thing standing between him and going hungry until supper. It wasn't candy. It wasn't a toy his mother couldn't afford. It was a piece of bread, dry and hard enough to last the whole day without spoiling, small enough to fit inside a closed fist. His mother wrapped it in newspaper because cloth was needed for something else, and paper cost nothing. Nothing was the only word that mattered in his house that year. He never ate it at his desk. He waited. He waited until the other children ran outside for recess, until the room was empty except for him and the teacher grading papers at the front. Only then did he unwrap it, slowly, quietly, the newspaper crackling just enough that she always looked up. And every single time, she looked back down at her papers and said nothing. That silence wasn't neglect. It was the one kindness this system could still offer a child who had nothing else. Teachers in that decade were not permitted to give food to students. Rules were strict, budgets were non-existent, and any teacher caught breaking policy risked the only income she had during years when steady work for anyone, let alone a woman, was nearly impossible to find. So she did the only thing she could do within the rules. She looked away. This happened in thousands of classrooms across the country, not just one. Records from that decade describe an unspoken agreement between teachers and their hungriest students. A quiet understanding that some things were simply not seen, not reported, not questioned aloud. Children learned early that survival sometimes meant hiding in plain sight. And adults learned that protecting a child sometimes meant pretending not to notice at all. By the time this boy reached the 5th grade, the newspaper bundle had become part of his daily routine, as automatic as sharpening a pencil. Other children in that same class carried bundles of their own, different shapes, different sizes, tucked into coat pockets, hidden inside boots, folded flat beneath a shirt. None of them spoke about it to each other. They didn't need to. They recognized the same careful wrapping in each other's hands, and they understood exactly why it mattered. Some schools tried to fix the problem openly. A handful of districts introduced penny lunch programs, charging a single cent for a bowl of soup or a slice of bread, hoping it would remove the shame of charity by making it look like a purchase. But even 1 cent was more than some families had on a given morning. And the boys and girls who couldn't pay learned to disappear at lunchtime instead, claiming they weren't hungry, walking the halls until the bell rang again. The newspaper bundle was, for many of them, the quiet alternative to that public embarrassment. It let a child eat without ever standing in a line that marked him as poor in front of everyone he sat beside. What this photograph and the records around it prove is simple, and it changes what we think we know about that classroom. The system was often broken. The rules were often cruel. But inside that broken system, individual people still found small, quiet ways to hold on to their humanity, one unspoken silence at a time. That silence, more than any lesson written on the blackboard, may be the truest thing the classroom ever taught.